Hello, welcome to the Pinfall Podcast. I'm your host, Liz, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Marcus.
With a new light, I look so much better.
Yeah, you look like a handsome man.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome. Happy Raw.
This was a weird one. This
Wasn't a good one.
It was definitely a Raw. Something happened. Was it good? Probably not.
They sure did make an episode
Especially
of
after
television programming.
after last night's All Out. You would think they would have tried a little harder.
Yeah, this was not quite the answer.
Yeah.
I saw somebody saying like, "Well, not everything's a response to like what AEW does," and it's like, well, yeah, but at the same time,
Yeah,
maybe it should be.
WWE's the one that cares about the demo. Like AEW itself doesn't. TNT does, but they're not the ones making the decisions. WWE is trying to keep their audience, and seeing a lot more people going over to AEW than people going over to WWE.
Both in terms of fans and in terms of wrestlers.
Especially if USA and Fox are both pissed off at you. You'd think you would try just a tiny bit harder.
Yeah, not great. There was like one match that I think I had like sat back and I was like, that was a good match.
Yeah.
Nothing else really.
I thought two. Maybe two.
Maybe two? Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe three. Maybe three.
Ooh.
But yeah, so it was Raw. It featured primarily the 7-team tag team Turmoil to determine the number one contender for the tag team championships. We had Charlotte Flair defend the Raw Women's Championship against Nia Jax, and it wasn't the main event, even though it should have been. Drew and Sheamus fought for number one contender of the United States Championship. That was an actual number one contender match. I guess both the tag team Turmoil was too, because that wasn't against the champions.
True.
Natalya and Tamina also had a number one contenders match, even though they already have a number one contender. Shotzi and Tamina, or Shotzi and Ox. Reginald defended the 24/7 championship, and Drake Maverick appeared for some reason.
That party's in the 24/7 championship division now.
Yep. And
Either die young enough to be a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
you
what
either,
it is?
you either die and go to AEW, or you live on Raw and die.
I literally looked away and I didn't see Jeff Hardy. I wish I had it stayed like that for me.
I saw the long cloth out of his pocket, and I knew that was him. What else happened today? Karrion Kross was actually enjoyable today. Yeah, soak that in.
I laughed and I felt bad about laughing because I was like, this guy's fucking sucks. And it was funny.
It was
I think it was funny because of John Morrison, to be fair.
It was. And yeah, John Morrison is great, and him and Karrion have worked together before, so of course they have that pre-existing chemistry from Impact.
Rapport.
Yeah, and it was short, so there was no chance of spoiling it. No chance of getting it bad. Nikki and Rhea had that was the number one contender match. Never mind. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. So you want to do the news?
Yeah, I guess. I'm fucking tired.
All Out was fun last night.
It was so much fun.
One of the best pay-per-views of all time.
It was a good fucking pay-per-view.
Featured the absolute classic of QT Marshall versus Paul White.
Mark's never gonna stop talking about this. He was enamored.
It's the best match ever.
Would you say it was mesmerizing?
It was 5 stars out of 100.
Out of... Alright. Yeah, that sounds about right.
But real talk, Lucha Bros versus Young Bucks is probably like match of the year, if not match of the decade.
That had no business being that good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros, I was already pretty excited for because, like, I knew it was going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lucha Bros walked out, and I said, oh, it's like that.
I watched the media scrum, and Penta and Ray and Alex were on, and Penta and Tony Khan saying that they're best friends. That was so sweet.
Also, like, they were talking about, like, how they've come from, like, so little, and how much this means to them, and I was like...
I mean, in that same vein, Bryan Danielson said, like, I'm the richest man in the world because I grew up with, like, nothing, and so the difference there is so stark. Makes me feel like I'm the richest man.
There's something in my head where it's like... It is sad to me as a WWE fan to see people that, like, were integral to, like, the parts of WWE that, like, I grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, that I was, like, invested in, leave. But at the same time, I'm so fucking excited to see them over at AEW. Like, I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about time.
And also, I'm excited to see what the fuck Eddie Kingston does when he's in New York. I'm buzzing, just like conceptualizing it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be so much fun.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I should probably talk about the news. I should also probably change the sign.
No, leave it up. It's fine.
Oh, I work so hard. I'm in such pain. News.
Yeah, news. News is my birthday past.
News is it's Rosh Hashanah and Mark's birthday is over. And Mark has a cool new water bottle.
Thanks to someone special. It's you.
It's me! Okay, so first piece of news is that Bullet Club got a new member at NJPW Wrestle Grand Slam.
Really? Who?
Show.
Oh, I saw a show and Yo fought, which is weird because they were a tag team.
Well, that was like the whole thing is that they broke up.
Mm.
And it was like kind of a big fucking deal. And I saw the promo for it actually, and I was like, ow.
Mm-hmm.
My soul. Upsetting, to say the very least. But yeah, so Show is now a part of Bullet Club. You know what? Good for him.
Yeah.
The dude went through some shit. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so funny to see Bullet Club walking out with like, because the article's picture is like Bullet Club walking out in like their shirts, and Jay White in his dumbass marching band vest. Makes me so mad. Okay, and also we have a date for Full Gear. It's a new date, and the new AEW Full Gear date is November 13th,
which is a Saturday.
It was originally set for the Saturday prior to, on the 6th. But it is now going to be a week later. I don't know what the change is. The article suggests that the move was expected since November 6th is the day of a big UFC show and a big boxing fight. I don't know anything about it, but there's that. So I'm gonna exclude all of like the people who debuted last night. If you didn't see it,
yeah,
it was Ruby Soho, Ruby Riot, EBDB, B&B, and Adam Cole.
Nobody understands what you mean by EBDBB&B.
It doesn't even work anymore because it's not DB. Bryan Danielson. Anyways. Sasha Banks is teasing a new WWE return date, which it's fucking jarring to me that we even need a return date for Sasha Banks at this point. Her new return date, which I didn't even know there was an old return date, even though I'm pretty sure I talked about this before. Her new return date is September 17th. It appears that she will probably be part of that European tour that they're doing.
What is going on? Honestly, what is going on?
Wait, I'm sorry. I messed that up, but it still is September 17th.
Okay.
I messed up. I misread something. Don't worry about it. But so she posted it with Europe the Final Countdown. The link to the song. I just saw the tweet. But I don't know where the fuck she is. I don't have any reasonings or excuses. I'm tired. I'm fucking tired. Also, so there's something that like is kind of like, but maybe not. Which is the WWE filed to dissolve the trademark on the name WWE UK Holdings Limited. Which seems to be kind of like a gesture towards NXT UK, but at the same time, Jim Smallman, who's the NXT UK creative director, told fans that the brand is not shutting down, saying he said, I mean, as I'm the creative director of NXT UK, I can categorically tell you it's not shutting down. WWE UK Holdings, which I presume you're referring to, has nothing to do with NXT UK. Which, fair enough, but also at the same time, do I trust creative to know what's going on with NXT's head office?
I don't believe it. I think it's best to be pessimistic so you don't be so you're not disappointed.
Especially considering they just dissolved Japan. Oh.
Yep, and I can't imagine NXT India is going to last at all, if even get off the ground.
At this point, we're lucky that we're seeing Veer and Shanky, and that's about it.
We're lucky we have NXT in America.
For how much longer? Anywho, speaking of for how much longer, perhaps one of the last people that will be hired by the WWE that is also a wrestler, Gable Steveson, finally signed with WWE. So it's actually kind of big news. I'm so pessimistic about everything happening with NXT right now. Like I don't know what to say here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be like, oh, that's a really cool like acquisition for us.
They get one Olympic athlete in Kurt Angle, and suddenly they think all Olympic athletes are capable of wrestling in WWE. But I mean, he is very passionate about it, and he really wants to do it. So maybe he'll come in with a good skill set.
Why didn't they hire the woman that wanted to do it, Tamira?
I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't cut it in tryouts.
Okay. Anyways, but that's all I've got for news.
Cool. I got nothing. So.
Oh wow, that's the first.
All right. So let's move on to the matches and promos. This is fucking Raw. It went on for 3 hours.
As most Raws often do.
Most. All, actually. So we started off with a promo from the New Day. Xavier starts off by saying, "Tag team turmoil, baby." This is kind of a just running through all the tag teams that are in the turmoil, and then just getting little quips from them. Kofi says, "Who else in your boys? The new day, because New Day rocks. New Day rocks." Then we go to Viking Raiders. Eric says, "We raid the tag team division." We then go to Mustafa and Mansoor. Mustafa says, all you have to do is do whatever it takes. Understand?" Then we get Lucha House Party. Lindsay says, "Lucha House Party, or LHP, proves we were out of this world." Proves we're out of this world. We then get T-Bar and Mace. Nia Jax says there are just 6 more victims. We go Jinder and Veer. Jinder says, "We're the next champions." AJ and Omos next. AJ says, "Can you imagine Smokey Brain being in charge of anything? We'll win back the tag team championships." And then we go to Randy Orton and Riddle in the ring. Randy says, "Last week on Raw, the WWE champion, Bobby Lashley and MVP, tried to take these titles off Riddle and I, and they failed miserably. Bobby is nothing more than a greedy son of a bitch. Riddle and I were going to look at the rest of the 7 tag teams left and see which deserves to be next in line to be beaten by the most destructive tag team in sports entertainment." Riddle then says, "Tonight is going to be sick. We've got some cool teams." He starts running off all the teams and starts talking about them for a little bit. Randy's corpsing the whole time.
Oh, he was trying his best.
Then Bobby Lashley comes out with MVP. MVP says, "Riddle, would you shut your dumb ass up? I swear WWE Universe loses IQ points when listening to you. You need to worry about this one man juggernaut who's gonna rip Randy's head off." Bobby says, "That's right, Randy. That was pretty cowardly. And now you're talking about some tag team turmoil. I'm here to finish what you started. Instead of hitting me from behind, face me one-on-one." Randy says, "You're challenging me for a match. That sounds interesting. I was just thinking when I saw you dominating, it's been 10 or 15 years since we faced each other. Last week it got me thinking. All except on one condition. When we fight, you put that championship on the line." MVP says, "Let me just have a moment." He whispers to Bobby. He says, "Randy, last week you are patented out of nowhere. However, when Bobby returns the favor, it won't be out of nowhere. It'll be in your face at Extreme Rules." Bobby says, "I'm that greedy son of a bitch, so we're going to get ourselves in that tag team turmoil. I will be a double champion." The New Day then comes out. Xavier says, "Did I hear you say you'll insert yourself into the match?" Kofi says, "Talk to Sonya and Adam ASAP because we're about to kick off the tag team turmoil match right now." Xavier says, "The odds are against us, but we've beaten the odds before, like when I beat Bobby Lashley." And then we get part 1 of the tag team turmoil match because they had to split it up into 2 parts.
Okay.
I'm looking very
Warning.
red.
My notes for this are.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking very red right now. I'm gonna fix.
I don't think you look that red.
You don't think so? Let me.
Oh.
That's the wrong button. Hold on. I'm gonna get that.
Let's see if Mark gets more handsome in this lighting.
That's very blue. There we go. That's better.
Yeah.
Oh, you froze. What'd you say?
I said, "Are you happy?"
Yeah.
Okay. All right. My notes for this are pretty shitty, and I don't know if it's because I was eating food or if it's because I was not interested or if it was because this match was not good or these matches. We'll find out. So we start with Kofi versus Eyebar. Kofi is kneeing Eyebar in the corner. He went to go like adjust my glasses.
Yep.
He's kneeing Eyebar in the corner. He runs at him. A senton. Oh, sorry. Eyebar sentons onto Kofi. After Kofi runs at him. Eric gets him. He sends Eyebar into Kofi, covers. Doesn't work. Eyebar gets back in. Kofi stomps on Eyebar. Eric gets in. Xavier gets in. We have flying head scissors and a knee to Eric. Eric tosses Xavier. There's a kick upside the head to Eric, and then a tornado DDT to Eric. Kofi gets in and hits a big old kick to the head of Eric, but Eric will not be pinned. He tosses Kofi from the ring and tries to send Nia to Xavier. But Xavier blocks. And I will yawn.
Yep.
There's an elbow to the face of Eric. Wood sends Eric to the ringside area, and Kofi dives out onto him. Dives out onto him and Eyebar, only to be caught by both men, and then launched backwards. Kofi, however, gets back in the ring, hits a fist to the face of Eric and a drop knee onto him. Eyebar holds Kofi, allowing Eric to hit him after he gets tagged in. He slams Kofi down. He gets Eric in pretty shortly after. Eric just drops Kofi. Eric has Xavier up next. Hits a spinebuster to Kofi. Eyebar flies down onto him with a frog splash. Eric gets back in. I guess Xavier wasn't in for very long because I don't know why this is in my notes, but he was in my he did get in at the point in my notes. But apparently Kofi got back in. There was a spinebuster to him. Eyebar flew down onto him with a frog splash. Eric got back in. Kofi hit the Trouble in Paradise to Eyebar to keep him away, and then Xavier hit an inside cradle to Eric to win. That's why that was my notes. Just very discombobulated for a second. So they eliminate Eric and Eyebar, and then it's the New Day versus Jinder and Veer. Because for some reason, Shanky is not allowed to wrestle.
They're obviously protecting him for, They gotta protect him for when he eventually gets sent down to the 24/7 scene. I'm looking very... Okay.
And will he be happy?
Now I'm happy.
So there's a flying lariat to Jinder to start things off. There's a back elbow to Xavier and then a drop knee to Xavier. Veer gets in, flattens Woods. Kofi goes to check on Woods, but Shanky is there. Woods gets flattened ringside. Shanky kind of stops Kofi from helping his friend out. We go to commercial break, and when we come back, Veer is in. He quickly gets Jinder in after the cameras come on. Jinder just tosses Xavier down in a spinebuster. He tries to drag Xavier by the ankle, but Xavier wriggles free, gets Kofi in. Kofi goes to splash Jinder in the corner, but Jinder avoids, hits a boot to the face. Xavier gets in shortly thereafter and stomps on the head of Jinder to defeat them. And then Lucha House Party come out. The new walkout song.
Not good.
Not good. Why was it jazz?
I don't know.
It was jazz music.
It was bad.
It was really bad. It was not what we expect, and there was no reason to change it, in my opinion. So they both moonsault off the apron onto the New Day. We get Lindsay and Xavier in. There's a spinning back heel to Xavier. Grand Metalik gets in, goes off the shoulders of Lindsay down onto Xavier and kind of like crossbody. Grand Metalik doesn't do too awful much to Xavier. He gets Lindsay in. Lindsay sends Xavier down, tries to crossbody him, but Woods counters. Grand Metalik gets back in, hits a back heel to Xavier. I can't stop yelling. I'm exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a back heel to Xavier and a super kick to the knee of Xavier. Kofi goes off the top rope onto Grand Metalik. Lindsay then hits. Lindsay gets in, it's a double stunner with Grand Metal or with that again. Lindsay hits a double stunner onto both men from the New Day. A super kick under the chin to Xavier, and then Grand Metalik gets in. He moonsaults onto Xavier. Lindsay gets in over the moonsault, but the cover is broken up by Kofi after Lindsay gets legal. We get double boots through the ropes to Kofi from Lindsay, kind of pulling a little New Day moment. Grand Metalik gets in. He super kicks Kofi. Xavier rolls through what could have been, I don't know what to call this, but ultimately what could have been a glam slam, Xavier rolls through. That's the only way I know how to describe it anymore.
Oh, it's not a glam slam. It
would have been a glam slam.
No, isn't a glam slam? Oh, wait, yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
But there's a name for it. I can't remember.
I know there's a name for it, and I just do not know what it is.
Yeah. I don't know.
But Xavier rolls through after Grand Metalik gets in. He super kicks Kofi. Xavier rolls through what could have been a glam slam to beat Lucha House Party, and then we get Mace and T-Bar. Mace is in versus Xavier. Xavier gets an elbow to T-Bar and a I don't know what that word's supposed to be. I wrote Xavier with an elbow to T-Bar and a S-T-O-R-L-E. Storl.
S-T-O-R. You lost me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Don't eat and type notes, folks. Whatever that is. We get a big knee to the face of Xavier from Mace, and then a step up enziguri to Mace. Xavier goes up top by way of Mace's hands. Hits a drop kick to the leg of Mace. T-Bar gets back in. He hits a back elbow to Xavier, and then Mace gets in with a belly to back to Xavier. Mace then chases Kofi off the apron. T-Bar gets in, sends a boot to the face of Woods. We nearly get a go to sleep. Like, that's kind of what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
But Xavier rolls him up to eliminate Mace and T-Bar. And then Mustafa and Mansoor come out, and it's a whole fucking thing. And it warrants an intermission, I guess, in the tag team tournament.
Yes, because Sonya and Adam Pearce come out, and they're like, no, can't do this now. You guys have to have a break, and then we'll come back later. Make this the main event. For some reason. So then we have immediately Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. For number one contender for the United States Championship.
Yep. Actually, this was a match. This is a good match. I won't deny that.
It was pretty good. Pretty good.
So Sheamus goes for the handshake to start things off. And Drew McIntyre says no, which I thought was interesting. Drew kind of gets a little locked up by Sheamus, but he gets free. Damien's watching this whole time. There's a shoulder tackle to Drew, and then like a shoulder or a forearm to Sheamus. There's a chop to the chest of Sheamus and a knee to the face of McIntyre that sends him over to ringside. Sheamus goes for the 10 beats of the bottom. Drew stops him about halfway through with some back elbows. Gets his own 10 beats to Sheamus? Actually gets considerably more beats than Sheamus did too.
Yeah.
Sheamus ends up hanging Drew up on the top rope though. Hits a flying clothesline to Drew once he's back in the ring. Drew and Sheamus go up top. Drew wants a suplex, or a superplex. Sheamus also wants a superplex, but Sheamus gets it. Drew, however, not too fazed by it, gets a neck breaker onto Sheamus. Sheamus sends a boot to the face of Drew and does his stupid fucking handstand to the top rope. I love this man so much. I love Sheamus so much. But he does his goofy little handstand onto the top rope. Doesn't really work out for him because Drew ends up meeting him up there, superplexes him. It's a Glasgow kiss to Sheamus, but it hurts Drew more because the mask is solid metal. So Drew's fucking knocked out. Sheamus wants the brogue. He gets clotheslined instead. Drew hits the Future Shock DDT to Sheamus. He wants the Claymore. He gets lifted onto Sheamus's back. He sends Sheamus into the corner. Ends up getting the Kimura to Sheamus. Sheamus reaches the rope, though. Drew goes up top. Okay, Drew goes up and over Sheamus' shoulders. We get a pump knee to Drew. Sheamus wants the cloverleaf. Drew rolls him up to no luck. It's the white noise onto Sheamus.
He's a thief. Also no luck. He steals so many goddamn moves. He has no original moves.
He doesn't do that. The thing is that in order to steal a move and not be like seen as a dick in wrestling, you have to ask if you can steal the move. So clearly people are letting him. Also the Kimura, everyone does a version of the Coquina Clutch, right? Not to say that that's the original, but everyone does a version of that because that's a move.
Okay.
It's in the same vein that the neckbreaker and the Kimura are both moves.
Okay. So then explain.
White noise, yes.
White noise, Future Shock DDT.
Where do you steal that from?
Robert Roode. The guillotine. Because he did that once or twice.
The guillotine is a submission move. I've seen multiple people do a guillotine.
There's another one he stole. Well, he did start using the neckbreaker after fighting Randy. When he was doing his title run, he would steal one move from all of his challengers. Who else did he fight? I'm trying to remember.
Also, if you look up Future Shock DDT, is mostly associated with Drew McIntyre.
It's because he stole it from everyone and uses it the most. I mean, obviously the white noise. That's the most recent example.
The white noise was very much he and Sheamus are best friends, and he definitely wanted to do that move.
There was one he used against Bobby that I can't remember. Because it was Bobby who challenged him. He didn't take anything from Dolph. He didn't take anything
from Dolph
huh?
that Drew could do. What is there to take from Dolph that Drew could do?
Famouser. Or the zigzag.
Yeah, I don't know if Drew is nimble enough for those kinds of moves.
Didn't he take something from Seth? I could have sworn he took something from Seth. Did he take the sling blade for a little bit?
Drew did not do the sling blade. Drew is not done. A Falcon Arrow. Drew is not done.
He took the Michinoku driver from oh fuck you! Who did he take it from?
Again, the Michinoku driver is a move.
I mean, like this. I'm mostly just joking right now because once again I'm the heel, but also I do like that he keeps adding moves to his repertoire.
He definitely does not get stale. I really don't think that we're gonna see him do the white noise again outside of today, unless he fights Sheamus again. I don't see that happening.
Right.
I think that was very much one of those things where it's like, it's not like he can really steal the brogue. It's not much different from the Claymore.
Yeah, he stole the Claymore from Sheamus.
Would you like to back that one up, sir?
No.
Okay, so anywho, we get a white noise to Sheamus, no luck. Drew takes Sheamus's mask off and threatens for a Claymore, but Sheamus wins by rolling Drew McIntyre up and grabbing his shorts. We nearly see some Drew McIntyre ass. It was actually quite delightful. And Drew McIntyre's fucking pissed about this. He grabs the mask like he's about to do some shit. I don't remember what he did, but I know that he ends up Claymoring Sheamus. I think he hits Sheamus with the mask, doesn't he?
No, he puts it on the the turnbuckle or the
Right.
corner post so it can watch.
Yeah. A little heelish.
Well, would you look at that? On August 17th, Sheamus accused Drew McIntyre of stealing his finisher.
Mark, they're best friends.
So, well, this is Sheamus breaking character, apparently. He stole the brogue kick. They both joined WWE in 2007 after competing against each other in the independent scene in the UK and Ireland. Sheamus said, "You don't need to bring it back because you already stole my finish. You already stole my finish with that Claymore of yours. You know what I mean? A brogue light. A brogue light, they call it over here. A brogue light, you know." So, there we go. I'm not the only one.
Oh, you and Sheamus should talk about this.
Clearly, he didn't ask Sheamus if he could use it. Clearly. Otherwise, Sheamus will be fine with it.
I'm sure.
And now Sheamus is going to complain about 2 moves being stolen. What's Drew going to steal next? Wearing a mask? He's going to steal Sheamus's coat and wear it?
If he does, I'm done. I'm out.
Oh, that would be the final straw? Not him stealing moves?
He did. I feel like fucking, what is it? I feel like Byron.
So after that, we get Damian Priest backstage after he'd been watching the match. We have an interview with him. He says, "I've been in this business for a minute. I've seen a lot of matches and a lot of fights. That was a fight. These guys can go. I expect no less from Sheamus, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it. I'm going to enjoy it with all my agents of infamy. I've got Sheamus's number. His night is going to end like it did tonight. Only difference is you're going to be hearing the sweet sounds that'll sound forever. And still, United States champion, Damian Priest." Do you ever think a year ago, looking at Damian Priest, that he would be the top babyface on the main roster?
I'm happy for him.
Me too. But never expected this. So then we have an interview with Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash in Gorilla. Rhea says, "After debuting on Raw, I had one goal, to be champion. After watching Nikki fight last week, we have that in common." Nikki said, "We shouldn't fly, wink wink, to any conclusions. We don't have that much in common, but we're working on it." Rhea says, "If whatever this is works, maybe we'll have some gold in common real soon." And then Nikki says, "Super brutality." I want to like Nikki, I really do, but this is so dumb. Like, this is dumb. Oh god, we're gonna be looking at this tag team in like a few years and be like, what the fuck were they thinking?
It's literally just they want Nikki to get better reception and they're saddling Rhea with her.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
So after that, we then get an interview with Charlotte Flair. She says, "Nia said she was gonna splatter me. Well, I'm still standing here. Even though I have a title match tonight, it doesn't sit with me. It doesn't sit with me. Nia is not like most women. I am one of a kind. I'm going to bash my crown over her head. She will bow down and kiss the floor I walk on. She can't resist the queen of WWE. WWE." Alright, so then we have Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley versus Natalya and Tamina, #1 contender for the women's tag title, even though we already fucking have a #1 contender in Shotzi and Nox. God damn it. God damn it.
Yay! We're having so much fun. Mark, are you having fun? You having fun? Yes?
There are better ways
yes.
I could have spent tonight. And
imagine if we just like slept.
I wanted to just
nice.
say fuck it and skip Raw tonight, and I still wish I had.
It's always such a fucking Debbie Downer to go from an AEW pay-per-view
Any
to Raw the
pay-per-view.
next day.
Because
It's true.
there hasn't been a bad pay-per-view this year that we've seen. Everyone's been good. Name one bad pay-per-view this year.
SummerSlam was not spectacular.
It was still fun. It was still a lot of fun, especially with Edge and Seth, and Roman and Cena. Yeah. So, you want to get into this match? This tag team championship contender match.
When are we supposed to... Do you remember that tweet from Sean Ross Sapp? Where somebody called him out and said something about WWE being sold.
He said that WWE is going to own AEW soon, and then Sean Ross Sapp was like, "Oh, well, you'll know that's not true in a few weeks," something like that.
I thought he said like in a week. I'm gonna have to go back.
He said
look,
it was a few weeks. It's been on my mind since I read it.
I just remembered it. All right. So, Tamina tries to senton onto Nikki with no luck. She throws a hand at her but can't land it. Rhea gets in, Natty gets in. There's a side headlock on Rhea, who breaks free, gets Nikki back in. Rhea uses Nikki as a battering ram up on her shoulders. Hits Natty in the face with Nikki's feet. While Nikki is in, Tamina swings at her. Rhea and Natty are going at each other post-commercial break. There's a Northern Lights suplex to Natty, and then Nikki gets back in. Cross goes up top. She cross bodies Natty, drop kicks her. Nikki then gets hit with a discus lariat after going for the tornado DDT, and Rhea gets in pretty shortly thereafter and straight up just hits the riptide on Natalya to win. It was a very discordant finish, if I can say so myself.
At this point, they should just take the titles away from Natalya and Tamina. They haven't gotten any wins. Like, how are they still champions? They've been losing everything.
It's literally anyone can beat them.
Yeah. Like, fucking smack Eva Marie and Doudrop in there, or Alexa Bliss and her doll, and they'll win.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you book champions like this? Where's the logic? Does nobody writing for Raw watch SmackDown? At the very least, like I get if you're not into wrestling. Like if you're a sports, no sports writer that'll be ready for WWE. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any sense. But like if you're writing for WWE, wouldn't you at least watch SmackDown once a week and be like, okay, what are they doing? What are they doing? But they're combined. Wasn't there reports that they were combined now?
Yeah, no, there were reports that literally it's the same writing team, which I doubt. I genuinely do not believe.
Well, no, I don't doubt it anymore. Because SmackDown has gone to shit. SmackDown's gotten bad. Like, they do the same thing now. They do the championship contender matches. They do bullshit like putting fucking champions down. Like, look at Shinsuke. Shinsuke's looked like shit. Shinsuke is Rick Boogs' company. Like, Shinsuke's the manager for Rick Boogs. Apollo Crews didn't do shit for so long. Like, the only thing that's been going right with SmackDown is they've been getting big name talent. Like Cena, Brock Lesnar. Roman's been carrying the ship. Same way Bobby and MVP have been carrying the ship of Raw. But at least, at the very least, it goes both ways to Raw and SmackDown. Their main champion is booked incredibly well. Bobby is booked extremely well. Some people may doubt that. Some people may disagree. I fully believe Bobby Lashley is being booked very well because he's a fighting champion who wants gold constantly. He wrestles like almost every week. He is like the polar opposite of Roman, but still very similar.
Yeah.
Like there are aspects of the main roster that are done very well. They are the lines for them being the same writing team are actually very clear now, but they don't pay attention to the other brand. Like, it makes no sense. Miriam said Raw writers are too busy watching Vince tear up their scripts, so they don't have time to watch SmackDown. But when Vince does that, like last week, that was a good episode of Raw. I'm peeking right now, I'm sorry. Like, that was a really good episode of Raw relative to past episodes. But
that was the first time that that's ever happened where Vince has torn up the scripts and then we were like, oh, this is actually really fun.
I remember happening once before too, where we heard him doing that and it was like, oh, it wasn't that bad of an episode.
No, trust me. The amount of times that we have heard that Vince tore up the scripts versus the amount of times that we said this was a good episode of Raw there's a disparity.
Well, definitely with this episode, Bruce Pritchard producing is not good. Not good. Very, very bad.
Oh, this fully felt like when you come into class expecting to have like a test or something, and like the test is put off, but instead you have to watch like a weird video and like you've got to write an essay about it at the end of it. And maybe I just feel like that because I technically do have to write an essay about this at the end of it. But this was fucking discordant as shit. It was a mess. And if this is any sign of what we have to expect from Bruce Pritchard also helping to produce NXT.
But this was Pritchard producing the whole show. Pritchard and Vince are not producing all of NXT. Just the big picture stuff. The day-to-day, that will be still Trips, Sean, Regal, Joe. So it's just none of WWE's creative makes any sense at all. All right, so after that match, we have a little brief moist TV with Karrion Kross, and this segment was so funny.
I feel like, you know how like people always make fun of like millennials for having a weird sense of humor. It's like just because we've been on the internet for so long that like the stupidest shit's fucking hilarious. I fully feel like we have watched too much Raw that this was funny, and for reasons that maybe they weren't expecting it to be funny.
No. I unironically think this is like seriously funny stuff because first of all, it's John Morrison, an incredible talent. He starts off by introducing the show, and they're not even in the ring. They're backstage at one of their fake rings. And he introduces the show and introduces Karrion, who's sitting there like this. And staring at Morrison the whole time. And these two are great together because they have a long history from Impact. So they have that chemistry already. And it very clearly showed off in this promo. These guys, say what you will about Karrion. When he's in a good place, you see some good out of him. Like he was with Johnny here. So Morrison asks Kross, what makes Kross tick? Karrion says, thank you very much for having me, John. I can be described as someone who wants to make people's worst dreams a reality. John says, so what do you plan on doing next? Karrion says, I plan on making you suffer. John says, oh, it sounded like you were making a threat there. But it's a euphemism. If you make a threat to me, you will get the dripstick, but you know that. Karrion says, no, I will eliminate you out of existence. And John says, I've been in the game for 2 or 3 decades, so stop trying to be scary. Karrion says, you asked for answers, now you're gonna get them. I'll teach you to fall and pray. Just the stark contrast between John Morrison being so lighthearted, goofy, and all that, and Karrion being fucking Karrion. It works so well.
I definitely did not hate it. That's for sure.
They got the right person. Like, if you put anybody else in that position, it would have been just like an average, whatever. Would have been pretty lame. But because Karrion, like, is so far from John Morrison's personality, it works. Yeah. And then we get Karrion Kross versus John Morrison.
So there's a ground and pound and a Saito. Karrion wants the cross jacket, but John Morrison reaches the ropes, hits Karrion with the dripstick, and then Karrion lifts John Morrison over the top turnbuckle, sending him ringside. Once he gets back in, it's the cross jacket to win. A very short match.
Yeah. Still booking
Even the
Karrion.
announcers were like, oh, that's it?
Yeah, still booking Karrion to be a monster and pushing him. We'll probably be seeing him against Bobby at some point. Or Damien. I could see him versus Damien. I feel like that'd be a good match.
I've seen that match.
Yeah, well, again, run it back, this time for the title.
Fair.
Especially now that Damien's like the babyface.
True.
So then we have an interview with Nia Jax. She's asked if she can respond to what Charlotte said. She said, I don't want to waste my breath on Charlotte. She freaked out because nobody physically overpowered her like I did. Now she wants to bash my head in with the crown. Good luck finding it because I shoved it so far up her behind. She better get used to losing because I will finish what I started. That's the second time somebody said they'll finish what they started in this episode. And then we get Nia Jax versus Charlotte Flair for the Raw Women's Championship. And you know what?
So what the fuck was up with this?
This match sucked. This was bad.
This match sucked.
This sucked.
So let's start here. Shayna.
I wanted to understand it. When Shayna...
What's the vibe?
Shayna said to Charlotte, Nia probably won't get the job done. So when she loses, I get next. Or some. She just said she won't get the job done. And I thought, okay, I can see what Shayna's probably going for. She's gonna, she's gonna want Charlotte to win so that she would have an easier time beating Charlotte than she would Nia. But then Alexa Bliss throws her hat in the ring, and they move away from Nia and Shayna to Alexa Bliss. So then what was Shayna's goal?
I straight up feel like somebody whispered in her ear, hey, we need you to help break up your tag team while you're out there, but we have no direction to give you. And Shayna was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna try my best.
Or it's like Shayna heard about the heat in the match last week and wanted to throw something in this week, but it didn't pan out. It didn't work.
Didn't land.
Yeah.
I have no clue. I have no clue for you.
So how did this match go?
So Shayna did some weird shit. Nia grabbed Charlotte by the hair, hung her up against the top rope. We get some clothesline. We get a clothesline to the chest of Charlotte. Nia lifts Charlotte up and over. Charlotte lands on her feet and hits a chop block to Nia. She wants to stomp Nia's knee, but Nia dodges it. She sends Charlotte into the buckles. Charlotte places Nia up top, and Nia goes for the superplex, but Charlotte slips down, ultimately powerbombs Nia. Nia throws Charlotte into the turnbuckles. Charlotte hits a moonsault off the top rope onto Nia, and then Nia drives Charlotte into the turnbuckles, lifts her up top. And Charlotte hits the natural selection off the top buckle to win. That's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, which is so stupid because you know what? This does not make me believe that Charlotte can overpower Nia Jax.
Yeah.
Not in the slightest.
Yeah, it's like, who are you protecting? Because this was very much a match that seemed like it was supposed to protect someone, but nobody's protected. Like, this is just so frustrating. So frustrating. Like, have every title match matter. Like, how do you not do that?
It's a very basic tenet.
You decrease the value of a championship when you have matches like this where where it's stupid. Like, the whole match is stupid.
And this is why I worry about the WWE as a whole. Because recently, with a lot of their championships, they've devalued it on such a grand scale that I don't know how they come back from this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a miracle the Universal Championship is still.
Yeah, that's literally all they have right now.
WWE Championship is getting there. It's getting back to where it should be with Bobby.
Well, yes, but also Bobby's now going for the tag title, so like it almost feels like it means nothing.
At the very least with that, they're calling him a greedy son of a bitch.
True.
Like everyone is.
It's just like, I mean, you've got so many titles and only, what, 2 at max are not jokes? Like, alright.
Yeah. Although the SmackDown tag titles, alright. At the very least, they're just cursed where if you get them, you don't do anything for months.
Yeah, I guess.
Which in that case, they're very protected. So after the match, Alexa Bliss, she shows up on the screen. And I didn't write this when she's on the screen. I didn't write that down. But basically she's like, hey, Charlotte, look up here. Now that you beat Nia Jax, why don't you come over to my playground? We can have a little conversation. Charlotte's like, no, I'm not stupid. And Alexa says, okay, then I'll bring the playground to you. Lights go out. Come back. Alexa Bliss is in the ring. I thought that was pretty cool.
There was one man in the crowd who thought this was phenomenal. And I loved him. He was blown away. And I said, you know what, buddy?
We should all hope to be marks like that. Marks are happy.
I think he was with a child.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's why he did that. Like, I could have sworn that he like went over to like there was like a kid next to him. I think he went over like and like said something to him afterwards, and I was like, "Oh, you're keeping it alive for the child." I see. Duly noted.
So she appears in the ring, and Charlotte says, "Obviously, you want something. So what is it?" And Alexa just points at the belt. Charlotte says, "Oh, you want this? You want a title match?"
Me talking to the cat when we feed her.
Fine, but this isn't your playground. It's mine. And that's where that ends. I'm actually really excited for this. If they could just remove Lily from the equation, you would have a great title feud. Because Alexa's been putting her all into trying to get this whole Wicked Bliss thing over. And Charlotte's been doing a great job with all of her matches. Because I mentioned this to you before, she probably sees all the shit Andrade's doing, and even what Ric Flair's doing, making all these appearances, and wanting to be on that level of, like, being talked about. So she's trying to give all these matches her all. And I can see her and Bliss kind of making a banger. Then we get a little video package recapping all the Reginald 24/7 escapes in the parks. And then we get Reginald versus Akira Tazawa for the 24/7 championship.
This is an easy one. There's a drop kick to Tazawa and a scissor kick, and then like a senton, and Reggie wins, and then Ruth comes in, and so does Cedric,
Humberto,
Berto,
Jackson Riker.
Some guy. I'm not talking about him. I'm Rosh Hashanah. Sorry. Jeff Hardy. The only good part of this was that Drake Maverick came out, and I said this might mean something.
He is the final boss of the 24/7 scene, and obviously Jeff Hardy is there to try and elevate the 24/7 championship and make it worth. I'm sorry, I can't lie like that.
Yeah. Let's not waste our time.
It's fucking Jeff Hardy. Regardless of like his in-ring talent right now, he's a fucking legend. He is a Hall of Famer, or a Hall of Famer to be.
Here's the thing. So there's two men that I can think of off the top of my head that aggressively will not retire, no matter how much people are like, maybe you should. And by that I mean like, maybe like you've been around for a while. You don't want to be hurting in the future, right? Two men. One is Chris Jericho and one is Jeff Hardy. And I know that there are people out there that are going to crucify me. Let me just use this for my example. I know there are people that might crucify me for bringing this up as a comparison. I promise you, this is the only reason I'm comparing them.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how AEW treats Chris Jericho versus how the WWE treats Jeff fucking Hardy.
The difference there, though, and here's why you can't really make that comparison, is Chris Jericho has a lot of sway in AEW.
True. I feel like Tony Khan would not blink twice at letting Chris Jericho do what Chris Jericho wants to do.
Yeah. Now, if you want to compare Jeff Hardy with Matt Hardy, there's one to make. Or Jeff Hardy with Dustin Rhodes, because Dustin Rhodes has also been in this business for an incredibly long time. I think he's older than Jericho at this point. I think.
How old is he?
He's in his 50s, I know that.
If he's past the age of literally 50, then he is older.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He is, let's see, Dustin Rhodes.
But
He's 52.
I just like, if you want a more apt example, then take Sting.
Yeah.
Sting, who was basically retired by Seth.
Mm-hmm.
Sting is treated like a fucking icon.
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy's just
Jobber.
yeeted.
Yeah.
It's
why
and I know that now especially is not the time to be like, well, here's what AEW is doing better than WWE, because I know that there's people who are going to get pissed off about it. But it's just to say that, like, if we can take anything from them, we may as well be taking this, because, like, they're wrestlers who have given the WWE their life.
Mm-hmm.
And they're treated like poo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta say.
So then we get an interview with Dewdrop. She says, I don't want to give her a chance to have cold feet, meaning Eva Marie. Eva got Dewdropped. Her karma is just beginning to come back around. I'm challenging her for a rematch. If you thought the beatdown was brutal, the next one will be unforgettable. It's time to usher in a new era, the Dewdrop-olution. And then we get part 2 of the Tag Team Turmoil match. With this time it's New Day, Mustafa and Mansoor, AJ and Omos, and Bobby Lashley and MVP.
I really thought that this was going to be a quicker podcast because so much happened in the tag team tournament.
Turmoil.
No. Sure. Okay, let's get through this as quick as possible because my head is pounding. Mansoor versus Kofi to start. It's funny, I kind of just like tried to do like a little prediction so I didn't have to work too hard. I tried to predict that it'd be Mustafa versus Xavier. And of the 4 possible combinations I could have gotten, that was the one that it was not. So anyways, we have Mansoor versus Kofi to start. There's an arm drag to Kofi. Kofi gets launched from the ring as he goes to run the ropes. Mustafa is then legal. Kofi hits a side Russian leg sweep to Mustafa. He's then sent throat first into the rope. Mansoor gets in. He lifts Xavier up, who is now illegal. Xavier fights down. He goes up top, superplexes Mustafa. Then rolls up Mansoor. Mansoor rolls up Xavier. It's back and forth for a minute. Mustafa tags in, goes to work on an injured Xavier. Kofi gets in, though. Gets a crossbody to Mustafa and a high knee to Mansoor. There's a super kick to the ribs of Kofi as he goes for a Trouble in Paradise. He wants the 450 splash, but no one's home. He rolls through, hits a Trouble in Paradise to the chin of Ali. Xavier gets in. He hits like a near coast-to-coast elbow drop to eliminate Mansoor, which was fucked up. And then AJ and Omos come out. We start with AJ versus Xavier. AJ gets like sort of an abdominal stretch on Xavier, and then ends up tackling him into a ground and pound. AJ then won't let Xavier tag out. He gets Omos in. Omos stands on Xavier for a little bit. Kofi tries to be the big man to distract. He does like a decent enough job, but Xavier still gets splashed in the corner. There's a snap suplex from illegal AJ to Xavier. He wrenches Xavier backwards. Wood sends AJ through the ropes. Kofi gets in and right into a paw from Omos. There's a double stomp to the chest of AJ from Kofi. A Trouble in Paradise to AJ, but Omos breaks the cover. Xavier gets thrown. Kofi attacks Omos. Gets eliminated by AJ, though, in the ring. It's fucking silly. And then we get MVP and Bobby versus AJ and Omos. MVP's in his hometown, so he's getting, like, hella chance, and I loved that for him. Loved every second of that for him. Bobby starts. There's a scorpion kick to Bobby, and Omos gets in. Omos hits a big old vertical suplex to Bobby, who is now dwarfed in Omos' shadow. There's a knee that sends Bobby from the ring. AJ manages to take out Randy and Bobby ringside at that point. Omos then sends Riddle into the barricade, begin Enziguri to an interfering MVP, and then Bobby spears AJ to win, and they're gonna face Randy and Riddle, and Omos ends up just fucking clobbering Bobby. Make up for lost time.
Yep. So, that's the episode. That's our recap. Now, stick around for our best of the night. And then our question segment right after. If you have a question for us, it could be about wrestling, non-wrestling, about Raw, about SmackDown, AEW, whatever. Leave it in the chat now, and we'll get to it after the best of the night. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave it in the comments, and we'll get to it in the next episode. Alright, so, promo of the night. I don't even need to go through them for me. It's Moist TV.
Oh, sorry, I thought we were talking about a match. Yeah. There weren't that many good promos anyways tonight, so I'll give it to you.
It was just so funny. You could see the history these two guys have. Alright, Wrestler of the Night. So, let's see. Okay, I know who I want to go with. Do you?
Wrestler of the Night?
Yeah. You want me to go through?
I think I do. I think I know who I'm going to go with. I'm afraid it's not who you're going to go with.
I have two. I have two picks.
I have two as well.
Oh, God, okay. So who are your two picks? Let's start with you first, actually.
No, let's start with you.
Okay. I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre and Kofi Kingston.
Oh, I was going to go with Drew and then Sheamus, so... We at least agree with our first pick.
All right, so then Drew it is.
Man, we've really reverted, haven't we? We've gone back to Drew being the fucking wrestler of the night 2 weeks in a row, I think.
It's because when Drew's not in the title picture, he's compelling.
Drew's so fun to watch, and he's got such good in-ring charisma, chemistry. That's the word. That's the thing too, is that Drew, he's got a lot of charisma. But Drew has really good chemistry with the people he wrestles with, which I feel like is rare that somebody consistently has good chemistry with the people they wrestle with.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
If only their booking could get a little better in terms of their storylines.
Right. I am glad. I'm glad and also kind of annoyed at the same time that we're getting so much Drew Sheamus shit lately. And it's like, I know you're trading Drew to SmackDown. Don't do this. Let's not play this game today.
I want to see Drew on SmackDown so bad. He's gonna kill it.
I know. This literally, outside of like AEW stuff, that has been one of the things that's like been front and like foremost in my mind lately. Because I've just been thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And I'm like, I don't want him to beat Roman necessarily. I'm not saying that I do or don't. But I would love to see another Drew and Roman feud. I really would.
Drew and Finn.
So happy.
Although,
Drew and Finn, unbearable. So good.
I have a feeling Finn is going to go to Raw, though. Alright, so now that we have a wrestler of the night, let's go to match of the night. We're going to go from worst to best. Starting with a 3 out of 10. Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax. None of the story made sense. I mean, the wrestling itself was pretty decent. I saw some more people fucking complaining on Reddit about Nia Jax. Like, being dangerous. But the only dangerous thing I saw was when Charlotte Flair moonsaulted from the top rope and it hit her head a little too hard.
Yeah.
But that's not on Nia. I mean,
no.
Nia softened her landing. That's all you got to do. Nia still got to sell her being hurt. Charlotte could have tucked her head. I mean, I don't like blaming the person who potentially got hurt, but I mean, come on. You can't blame Nia for everything.
Right.
But the booking of this made no sense. Like, they should have advertised this match, first of all. Like, you have a title match. You have a goddamn title match with your biggest women's championship, your only women's championship on your brand. Why do you not advertise this and book this as the main event? I get it's not your main event scene, but this is your goddamn title. It has precedence, or not precedence. It has what's the priority over your contenders matches. And when they don't book it like that, it makes it evident that they don't care. They don't care about that title. But yeah, the wrestling itself was okay. So then we had 4 out of 10, Reginald versus Akira Tazawa. The only thing good about this was that it ended quickly. It was fine. I don't know. They got to kill this title. Kill it with kill this with a triple threat Falls Count Anywhere match between Reginald, R-Truth, and Drake Maverick. A triple threat between them where whoever wins becomes the permanent 24/7 champion. That sounds like a hell of a match.
Yeah.
Then with another 4 out of 10, Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley versus Natalya and Tamina. It was fine. I mean, it was so short. I hate that Natty and Tamina are being booked like this. They're both they got the title and they looked incredible. And now they do this. This is awful. Terrible booking. Next up, 5 out of 10, Karrion Kross versus John Morrison. It's a shame this was so short, because these guys, I'm sure, could pull off a great match, especially if they go back to their Impact roots. But Karrion's being booked like how he should, so you can't I can't complain too much. But it being so short is pretty lame, but it was decent. Next up, 6 out of 10, the tag team Turmoil match. I thought it was pretty fun. I mean, it was. I'm sure you enjoyed it less because you had to take notes through it, but I thought it was fun. I didn't think any of the matchups really lasted too long. The annoying thing about it was that they split it into 2 parts.
Yeah.
But it was still pretty fun. I liked that they tried to go for some storytelling. They got some storytelling with Mansoor and Mustafa. The storytelling with Mace and T-Bar injuring them, injuring the New Day, and Xavier having that impact him throughout the part 2 with the back injury. They had some good things going. But having it be in 2 parts really ruined the momentum of the match. It made me not care anymore.
Yeah. It felt like a burden.
Yeah.
To the WWE.
Yeah. All right, so then finally, my pick for match of the night: Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. 6 out of 10. It was a lot of fun. They gotta have some storytelling with these two, though. I mean, this is probably their last match between them. Because Drew's gonna be going to SmackDown. Sheamus is gonna be busy with the United States Championship till then. So it was still fun. Would have just liked the little extra.
I agree. I fully agree with you. I think that there's so much more they could do with this, and I really hope that there is an opportunity somewhere in this world where we can get that.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. All right, so to run it back, promo of the night: Moist TV with Karrion Kross. Match wrestler of the night: Drew McIntyre. Match of the night: Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. All right, you want to answer some questions?
I'll answer a question.
All right, so let me refresh YouTube once more, see if we somehow got anything in the past hour since I last checked. Nope. Okay. So, hold on. Thought I saw a notification. Okay. So Miriam asked in chat, do you think WWE would fare better if they got rid of the brand split? I'm gonna give an unpopular opinion, so I think you should go first.
Okay, so then I'll give the popular opinion. Yes, I think so. I think the brand split is the first forbidden door that we need to cross through. I think that it would give so much more of an opportunity to different wrestlers. I at first, when I first started watching WWE, rather, I always have to make this distinction. It's really annoying to me. It's not anyone's fault. It's literally just mine. But I feel like when we first got back into the WWE, and even when I was watching it in college, to think of it without a brand split was weird. It like in my head, I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But watching AEW and seeing them not have a brand split is, I think they need that. I think it's important. I think it would give so much more room for fun and like tag teams and just title challenges.
So I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna say no, they would not fare better, because if they combined into one brand, they would have a huge roster. They already have a massive roster as it is, but they would have an even larger combined roster that they would be able to do nothing with. So many wrestlers would not get TV time because of it. And it would be a mess. But what I think should happen instead, you keep Raw, you keep SmackDown, you keep wrestlers apart. That's fine. Get rid of some titles. Combine the tag team titles. Combine the women's titles. Combine the men's titles. Combine all the titles. So there's each title goes in between brands. But the people who are the champions are the only ones that can cross brands. So that still separates the roster and keeps storylines kind of separated. But you add a lot more value to the titles when you don't have so many, because WWE has too many titles. I mean, across all their brands, they have 4 different men's tag titles, 4 women's championships, 2 women's tag championships, 4 mid-card titles, 4 main card titles, 24/7 belt. I'm adding NXT UK into this.
Oh.
It's too much. Really too much. And like at least with Raw and SmackDown, just have like the main roster belt, the main roster mid-card belt, the main roster women's belt, main roster tag belt, you know? And then having like what they do with the women's tag team belt, have them be able to go between brands. That way USA can still be up for a championship with, like, for example, maybe like Rhea Ripley can challenge Bianca Belair for the women's championship at SummerSlam, while Finn Balor can challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship that same night. Each brand still gets their exposure, but having too many belts really takes away from the value that they hold.
I genuinely don't agree with that. I see what you're saying though I think happy medium here is no more brand split, combine the belts. Because if there were no brand split, then the belts would have to be combined.
Yeah.
I feel like what you're suggesting really is a brand split light. It seems. Because it's a brand split for non-championship holders and a non-brand split for championship holders. Yeah. I think the only reason why I don't think that that's a good idea is because I don't think that... I think if everyone... just based on writing, I don't think that they would be able to do that capably.
I think that would help the writing.
That would...
Because if you have the same roster for... We'll say it's still 2 days a week. You have that same roster. You might have some wrestlers appearing twice a week. And it'll just get so chaotic. They would have to start cutting people from their roster.
But like, AEW has a massive roster. We see some people twice a week. And it's not chaotic.
Because they still get them on TV through Dark and Elevation.
Right. So I'm saying, like, admittedly, the brand split we'd be deleting, for lack of a better word, would combine 2 brands and not 3.
Right.
But I don't think that it would be that insane. And they've done it with a bigger roster. And there was no brand split for a little while with a bigger roster. I really think that it would be... I don't know. I mean, you're making good points for sure. I just, personally, from my point of view, I would like to see the brand split done away with. I think it'd be interesting.
I think there's just too much that they would need to do with the brand split. Like, you would have to get rid of all the titles, or half the titles. You would have to, like,
They split the brands again in 2016, right? Wasn't that it?
did they? Was it that?
Well, I know that the whole reason that Finn was the Universal Champion had something to do with that. Yes. The brand split was reintroduced in 2016 up until now. I think, right? I'm not wrong. Yeah. That's why they introduced the Universal Championship. That's why Daniel Bryan was the SmackDown general manager. That's why Mick Foley was the Raw general manager. And that's why Finn got his shoulder separated from his literal body with the Universal title, because all of a sudden, what was it, SmackDown didn't have a title. And they were like, fuck, what are we wrestling for?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it was that long ago. I think that's kind of why in my head I'm like, maybe it's a possibility, but
Wait, if they didn't have the brand split before 2016, what shows did they have?
they still had Raw and SmackDown, I think. It's just,
Did they just
wait,
not
let's see.
have? Because I'm seeing here that SmackDown was around in 2015 and 2014, and I know Raw existed then too.
I started watching again in college shortly before, but I wasn't really paying attention. I don't remember how it worked. Yeah, I don't. In the back of my head, I'm like, it just worked that like there was wrestling and it was on once or twice a week.
So the first brand extension ended on August 29th, 2011, after which the Raw and SmackDown brands were dissolved. On May 25th, 2016, WWE announced a relaunch of the brand extension, billed as the New Era. The second brand extension went into effect on July 19th, 2016, when SmackDown began broadcasting live on Tuesdays. In addition to Raw and SmackDown, during the second... Okay, so I think the show still existed, but they kept the rosters together.
Yeah, that's kind of in the same vein as like AEW's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's what I kind of assumed, but I'm not sure. But I don't know. I think it would be something that would be interesting to see, to say the very least.
Okay. So, do you want to end the podcast?
What do you say? It sounds so final. End
Because
the
that's all
podcast.
the questions we have.
Anyways, so if you enjoyed tonight, we will be back tomorrow night for what might be one of the last episodes of NXT that we can enjoy. Unless you're an optimist and you are looking forward to it, which if you are, I want to be you. Desperately do. But we will be back tomorrow night for WWE NXT Tuesdays. Yeah. I've got for you.
Oh, that's it?
Oh, wait. If you tune in tonight, thank you. And if you tune in the future, thank you.
Yeah. So, before we wrap up, just want to say thank you to everyone who watched our 2K stream, our 2K20 stream earlier today. We had a great time. We hope you all had a great time as well. We'll be going live again with 2K20 on Wednesday after Dynamite for our regular weekly show. The SDW, Stardust Wrestling, and PCW, Pepita Championship Wrestling. That all goes down Wednesday night after Dynamite. And then we could also make that our Dynamite post show. You know, if you want to ask us some questions about Dynamite, see what we thought. If you're watching on Twitch, our YouTube is the Pinfall Podcast. You can see all of our previous episodes there. If you're watching on YouTube, our live show is twitch.tv/the Pinfall Podcast. Join us live. Love to chat with you. Our Twitter is at Pinfall Podcast. I'm at the Mark Cameron. Liz is at Eliza Eline23. Yes, Miriam, the new Wednesday Night Wars just dropped. And we'll see you tomorrow for NXT, the last pre-taped episode. Have a great night.